Welcome to the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. I bring over 40 years experience in the world of comic books and entertainment. Across 5 decades, I offer insights and opinions on the business and the art of comic books and pop culture. If it's happening in games, in streaming, in movies, in comic books, we are covering it and discussing it right here. Welcome to another edition of the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. I am coming to you from New York City, from downtown Manhattan. Love coming here each and every time I can. I missed the last year, didn't make it here for New York Comic Con, but this year I'm here really in a marketing capacity. It's a great show. It's such an incredible show, and the opportunity to market to as many, not just attendees, but retailers. There's a retail meeting later this week that I'm going to be presenting Youngblood at, and that is the number one reason that I made sure I was here this year for this session. That gives me an opportunity to connect with retailers. We've done many episodes on retailers, had retailers on our show discussing and talking about what's selling, what's not selling, how each and every store and account is run. And so it's always exciting because to reach the people who are the guys and girls and the men and women behind the order sheets is an imperative. And I'm so excited that I made the trip. And that is the number one priority. Then there's the show and meeting some of the greatest fans in the world every time in my 41 years in comic books that I have been able to make it to New York City, the East Coast, Philadelphia, just in anything in that range, Boston. Just the most enthusiastic vibes. I think it fits. California, gotta love them. A little more laid back, a little more trained, not get too excited. The East Coast, I think you see it in the fandoms, in their sports teams as well. Just always just crazy, great energy. So it's going to be great to get together, to see everybody and to share. And if this is your first time listening to the show, let me pause for a minute. I'm Rob Liefeld. I have written and drawn hundreds and hundreds of comic books, made thousands of pages of comic books over 41 years, got hired at a high school teenager. Made my passion into my vocation. Have been fortunate to be doing this for 4 decades plus. I got hired in the 80s, and so 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. Here we are in the 2020s. I've never been more grateful, more excited to bring comic books to life, especially alongside all of the great comic books that are out right now, as we are experiencing what I would say is a bit of a resurgence. And we're going to discuss that today with the new comic book Algo. This isn't going to be a terribly long episode, given the demands of the travel and the schedule that I have today. But I wanted to connect with you guys while I was here in New York City. In my, as you can see, if you're watching us on Spotify or you're watching us on YouTube, this is my this is my hotel room. And so we are broadcasting this special New York location-based episode of the Rob Liefeld Show and Robservations. And when I get back, you had better believe that I'm going to have all of the great stories to tell from a show that is as busy and as populated as this one. From all the different events and the meetings and the dinners that I have planned, I'll be able to share all of that with you. This is also really seen as the last big hurrah of the year. Ever since, I don't know, maybe it was 11, 12 years ago, this show really planted its flag. It planted its flag on the October date, became a late fall show. When it started, the New York Comic Con about 20 years ago was a spring show, winter and spring show. And since it's been an October show, or in that vicinity, it is seen as kind of the last hurrah. People, They plan releases around this show. They want books coming out that week, big giant events, and it is all in the service of just the fact that you're going to be seeing crowds in a capacity like this. Hundreds of thousands of people will show up for New York Comic Con. I think person by person, Uh, New York Comic Con has recorded now more people through the door. I've always said I don't think a San Diego New York Comic Con is a straight up comparison. San Diego is like a carnival, a festival that spills out into the streets all around in every direction of the convention center. Most importantly, just right when you step outside of the convention center and you go into the Gaslamp District in San Diego. But as far as confined under one roof, New York is the most attended, crowded, uh, populated show, and the chance to meet and greet so many people. This is on people's travel calendars. They make special arrangements to fly out, whether it's to see some great original art. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to looking through all of the different original art that's collected here, as well as seeing, I think, the biggest uh, the biggest attended, maybe the most attended of talent, the largest assembly. That's the words I'm looking for, guys. The largest assembly of comic book talent, writers and artists coming under one roof. I mean, I'm staggered by how many people are going to be here. I mean, honestly, it feels like everybody who makes comics is going to be here, so it's going to be great. I'll have great stories when we get back. But as for today and what we're going to discuss today, I'm going to give you some food for thought, because algorithms are real. They are a big deal, and I wanted to share some of what I have been kind of just kind of taken in and processing. And before I do that, before I get to that, again on a very truncated episode of Robservations, right? The last couple of weeks I've had to be very quiet about all of this incredible these happenings surrounding a new release I have. Youngblood, I brought it back in April. I did a direct to consumer. I took it to stores. I took it to conventions, but we didn't have a direct to consumer of Youngblood number one. Youngblood number one, the original Youngblood number one, launched Image Comics in April of 1992. It was out, way out front, way ahead of the pack. And then everyone else followed, especially given the success that Youngblood had. Anyone who tells you that Youngblood wasn't a day one sellout, I was there. The phones were ringing off the hook. Stores were panicked that they didn't have enough. This is 1 million copies of a comic book that you've never heard of before. And often I have surmised, especially given the hindsight of and benefit of time, is that you could have called these books Rob Liefeld number one, Todd McFarlane number one, Jim Lee number one, Eric Larson number one, etc., Valentino, Mark Silvestri. There was these characters had no history. They had no previous connection. Your connection and excitement about them was due to the creators, because Image Comics is about creators first and foremost. And the characters that we create for you as characters are extremely important. We need to earn the connection of the characters and the titles will bring in regards to the quality of the stories and the art, and making you actually care about the journey that these characters take. But launching out of the gate as they did, Youngblood number one was following a trajectory, a very successful trajectory. I was very fortunate to be welcomed by the comic book community with a ton of excitement since I did my first major work for one of the two big companies, Hawk and Devitt DC Comics. And then following that, shortly thereafter, the New Mutants, then X-Force. And Youngblood was a smash hit that kicked down the doors for everything that would follow with Spawn and Wildcats and Dragon and everyone in that first year, especially because we really pushed a connectivity. You'd see Shadowhawk in Savage Dragon, you'd see Spawn in Youngblood, you'd see Youngblood in Wildcats. I mean, we were really, sharing the real estate, and you got an idea that all these characters are connected, they know each other. And to this day, we still can lean back into that, and I wish we would, and I hope we do more. But getting Youngblood, this new number one, out to the mass market, we always circled November on the calendar to try and get out of the way of all the giant events. At the time, all I knew was that there was a big Transformers event coming with Robert Kirkman and Dan Mora, being handed the baton from Daniel Warren Johnson, who has steered and launched Transformers to massive success. The Absolute stuff from DC, is going to continue to roll and continue to expand and continue to be a big deal. This giant DC crossover that's coming out, DC KO is a fall release. Did not know at the time that we circled November. I was just circling November in regards to the big books that Image Comics had out. I knew that Battle Beast was coming in the spring, so didn't want to collide with such a giant release as that. Knew that the Batman books with the blind bag Batman was coming. Didn't want that was a September book. So again, trying to navigate. Yes, we just like with movies, you look at release dates, you look at schedules, and you go, where could I fit here on the calendar? I felt December was too late to the end of the year, so I wanted to get in November. We're coming out the 1st of November. Didn't know that Deadpool and Batman were coming out. Didn't know that the two big Batman Deadpool books would be out in September and then later November. But that's fine. You plan as best you can, and I believe in the work that we're putting out, the comic, the entertainment factor, the value, the quality, and so I'm proud to have Youngblood coming out here in about a month. But as we built the excitement towards the November release, Eric Stevenson, publisher of Image Comics, who I shared great amount of time and creativity with at Extreme Studios back in the 90s. He was one of my, he was basically kind of the editor-in-chief of our entire line of books. He worked with everybody, literally everybody who worked at Extreme at one point or another had an encounter with Eric. Eric's a great, has great taste. The number one thing you look for in a producer of films, the number one thing you look for in a like someone at a publisher who represents like a family of novels or a line of books. In comics, the same thing. Great taste. Eric Stevenson said, Rob, I've got a bunch of people who are interested in doing Youngblood covers, celebrating Youngblood for the month of November. And lo and behold, I could not have been more staggered and believe you me, just floored when these books, when these covers started taking shape and they were shared with me. I was literally just as shocked as you could possibly imagine someone to be shocked when I saw that Dave Finch was doing a Walking Dead cover with Negan and Chapel, and that Redcoat was being depicted from Brian Hitch, the incredible pencils and inks of Brian Hitch with Redcoat and the entire Youngblood team. A lot of people just picked a character here or there, and it's fantastic. I never knew that how much I needed Gary Frank to draw Shaft until I saw him on the cover of Geiger, and was completely blown away. Similarly, Ivan Rice depicting Chapel on the cover of Hyde Street. But as these were dropped into my inbox, I just couldn't stop smiling. And there were times I had to fight tears back, because it is a humbling experience at 58 years old, not the youngest guy in the world, not the oldest guy in the world, okay? Definitely on the older side, but there are many in this business who would go, Rob, you can't possibly try telling me I'm old. I'm in my 60s and 70s, and they have a point, okay? But 58, been around, seen some stuff, and to see these covers come together, the massive verse, Radiant Black, these incredible covers, a triptych of covers, to see Tony Fleeks and his Feral cover. And I'm going to forget all manner of people. I'm going to get a list and dedicate it in the weeks to come. I'm going to have it. The covers were all dropped. I was getting them over a manner of many weeks. And then when I was in the air, flying to New York, they all dropped, and my Wi-Fi was so janky. It was the really you guys know when you know within the first 5 minutes if you're going to have a good Wi-Fi experience on a plane, and you're just resigned to the fact that, well, that's not going to happen. So my connection kept getting kicked on and off, and I was just trying to promote as many of the covers and throw my support and my appreciation for all the people. But there are way more covers, way more titles, way more artists than I have named here that I'm going to continue to name and continue to shout out. But they're calling it Youngblood Team Up Month, and I believe it's 30 comics are going to be depicting, and it's just some of the different talents contacted me and said, "Hey Rob, I've always loved Youngblood. I was there when Image was launched with Youngblood #1. It's a dream to be able to depict these characters. I never thought I would have these characters alongside my characters." And yes, it also has sparked some discussion of, hey Rob, could we do some crossovers? Absolutely. I am way open to that. We are all the way back in regards to Youngblood, the Extreme Universe, back populating Image Comics, and just really the possibilities are endless, and we're going to examine all those. But the first thing we got to do is we got to get you Youngblood. And so, as I said, I'm here in New York City to promote with retailers and get, I'm out here to talk about the property that I am the most comfortable with, that I am the most familiar with, that I'm the most excited about, and that is Youngblood. So it's an honor. I just want to thank everybody at Image Comics who may or may not listen to this show and just know Eric Stevenson, Jim Viscardi, Kat, Alex, Jose. I'm going to again miss out on so many people, but the creators, Robert Kirkman, Jeff Johns. Oh man, I knew I would totally start blanking. Kyle Higgins, Todd McFarlane, everybody who had the Youngblood characters. Tony Fleeks, as I mentioned, I'm going to miss so many. Ivan Rice, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, so many that I'm not going to. I'm going to forget, but I'm going to get to you soon. We have more time, more episodes, more shows, and I get it out there. So thank you. Hey, hope you're able to grab a copy of Youngblood. We got all manner of different fun editions, especially again, we're going to continue to push the retail editions because we got 27 retail variants. That's people who stepped up and believed. And it's just been such a great year having, knowing like I did the entire last year, that Deadpool team up would be my goodbye at Marvel. Just a situation that was no longer tenable as far as I could kind of, equate it. It just didn't make sense anymore given kind of the situation that was there. It's not just the relationships. There's some good people at Marvel, but the people at the top are truly rotten. And just so happy to get away from them and to be back in a fully engaged in the creator space and 100% creator space. And Image Comics is about creators. And when I saw the Gary Frank Geiger and the Brian Hitch Red Code, and I saw the massive verse titles, and I saw and I was staring, at the at Ivan Rice's chapel on Hyde Street. Image Comics is the gold standard for comic book artwork and creators right now. Make no doubt about it. There is no company that has more A-list top flight illustrators, guys who have been the top dogs in the business, who at one point or time were sought after. Ivan Rice with his incredible resume, transforming, resurrecting the Green Lantern titles. Gary Frank and all of the incredible work that he did with Jeff Johns, whether it was some Watchmen stuff or that incredible Batman graphic novel that they did. Gary Frank is just, and the Superman, especially the Superman and the Legion stuff that they did together, just a phenomenal top flight talent. Brian Hitch, what more can you say? The guy that really, is there an Avengers cinematic franchise if they're not adapting the work that Brian Hitch did on the Ultimates? That work 25 years ago shook the industry. It just absolutely shook it. And so many of the great talents. I did an entire podcast with David Finch, telling you that he is everyone's top choice to draw whatever book they have. He is the number one pursued artist in comics. Dave Finch drawing Negan and Chapel was just flat out incredible, just unbelievable. So it really reminded me of how impactful the work that is happening at Image Comics is to the entire industry. Image Comics and the quality of Image Comics is single-handedly lifting up the entire comic book industry. Print it, it's true. So, algorithms. Did you know that I'm really, having raised 3 kids in the age of smartphones, when the smartphones came out, my kids were 7 and 5 and 4. And so as they went into high school, we let them have, phones, whatever side eye or judgment you want to throw on myself and my wife. We made that judgment call. They each took to it in a different way. I remember Snapchat, which I never participated in, didn't understand it. Still not very good on TikTok, but we're there. Rob Liefeld has an account on TikTok, and it's surging at the moment. But it took me a long time to find a way in, to find a path forward with that. I was really Facebook and Instagram, which seem to be older platforms for older people, maybe for the Gen X, and definitely not the Gen Y and the Gen Z, and Gen Alpha is off on its own, particular bent of what they like and what they don't like, and what they like and what they don't like is nothing like what anyone before them liked. But algorithms are real, to the point where there's stories on the big magazine shows, and there's articles that I'm getting sent all the time and stuff that I pursue, and I go out of my way to check it out. And in 2018, Facebook, now called Meta, but 2018, guys, think of this, how long, this is 2 years before the pandemic, and the pandemic is cited as the time that we got as cozy and snuggled up with our phones as we ever did before or since. It really created a more symbiotic relationship, and we were already heading down that path, as we all know. I'm not telling you anything you haven't already heard or rationalized or realized. But it said that they have the ability to create conflict. Conflict is bigger than lust. Lust, I mean, you've heard the saying, sex sells, right? Well, Facebook and Meta realized that as much as sex and lust sells, conflict matters. And they said, we have an ability to create greater engagement, causing greater elements of conflict that will drive more people to our platform. This is the report that Meta put out in 2018. You can vet it, you can look at it, you can read it for yourself. And we all understand the algorithms. And if you're angry about something and you click on it, especially now in 2025, they're going to give you immediately, I can't believe how fast it happens, 10 more versions of that thing. So I'm not here to talk about conflict and conflict marketing and conflict engagement. It's just the subject of what has brought the algorithm discussions as much to the fore, as much just laying it bare as it's ever laid bare before. In that it's something that's openly being discussed about, which is our particular brand of manipulation and how we're being manipulated. But the manipulation is not just conflict and conflict marketing, as we know. I try and steer away from that stuff. I try not to ever engage. And some of you have said, "Hey, Rob, we appreciate you." I got this just recently. Not engaging politically. It won't happen. It's not. Then you're just doing politics 24/7, and I have better things to do in my life. I'm trying to create art and make a better life for myself, my family, and engage in as friendly a manner as possible. And so I really deliberately, just very much so, and I've talked about it here, my kids help me stop arguing with trolls and just be a calmer presence in all my social media. So I try not to go for what they call rage bait and that type of engagement. But the idea, what they're saying is, we can basically herd you to whatever water that we want, is what they're saying. In this particular case, in this particular report in 2018, it was about their ability to engage you based on anger. The algorithms are such that, for me, and I've seen, there's a guy who takes questions. His name's Moseri. He takes questions on Instagram. I always kind of try and click in on his live Q&As because he'll talk about the different engagements and the stories and the posts. And people have so many questions for him because they want to do better on Instagram. So I'm always listening to the stuff that he has to say. And it's on Instagram that the iPad version of Instagram changed drastically 3 weeks ago. It was unrecognizable, and they did say that it took a long time for them to upgrade to the iPad. But it's and there's different categories. My phone hasn't reflected what's going on the iPad yet. My phone is still kind of stable in as I have understood it and interacted with it and interfaced with it for the last decade. But on Instagram, if I open Instagram, it always clicks me to basically like the For You part of X, which I try to stay in the who I'm following on X, but in the For You part of X, it gives you all sorts of wild things that they may think you like. Well, Instagram immediately opens to what their version of the For You is called, and you have to then click over to your friends or the latest to get back into your lane. But you know what? There was some weight loss stuff, some tremendous weight loss stuff that came forth. And I'm on my stationary bike where I spent the most time reading my iPad. Big pictures, old eyes, and I saw some pretty drastic weight loss transformations for some pretty big guys and girls. And you guys know that the visual component of that is very it can be very compelling. And so in this case, it was very compelling. And in case you see the light continuing to change during this, I've got the TV on to provide light for me in the best lighting situation I can in the hotel room. So forgive me if I'm going to lavender, to yellow, to blue, to green. It's the kaleidoscope episode of Observations of the Rob Liefeld Show. So in regards to, I clicked on one of these weight loss transformations. Incredible, just incredible. This very, very large, beyond clinically obese man going through this incredible, elongated, over about a year and a half, I would say drastic weight loss, and then the final kind of surgeries that he had to outfit himself. I'm not pro or against it. Just caught my eye. It caught my eye. I clicked on it, and you know what? Next time I went on, I had 10 of those. Oh man, crap! Now the algo has me. The algo has me. So that's an example of how you get what you be careful. You'll get what you wish for. I clicked on that in interest, and suddenly I got 10 more. And if I kept, so now, as you all know, because we all know, I'm not clicking on any of those, and in the hopes that they will fade and go away, and I won't get that stuff anymore. And I definitely won't click on the new stuff that's coming. Comic books had an algorithm. Whether it was the 100+ issues that launched Fantastic Four, 101 that Kirby did, or was it 36 issues? Am I in that range? 32, 34, 36 issues of Steve Ditko on Amazing Spider-Man? And I just can't say it enough. Ditko. Look at Green Goblin. Look at Kraven the Hunter. Look at Mysterio. Let's see. Look at Doc Ock. Look at the Vulture. Let's just stop there. If you just took those characters and you go, that's how they look now. Sandman. They're depicted now as they were in 1963, 1964. Okay? That is incredible, the work that Steve Ditko did. His style of creation, his design sense, his character work is just unparalleled. But you got hooked because he was there for 3 years. Boom, 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 boom. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Jack Kirby, holy crap. 101 issues? Like, this guy, there's a reason Fantastic Four was so popular heading into the 70s when I was starting to read. And Spider-Man, the artist that followed him, immediately, John Romita Sr., was instructed by Stan Lee to draw like Steve Ditko in the early goings. That's where they got that kind of follow the, whether it was Greg Capullo, who was told to draw like Rob Liefeld, Mark Pacella, who was told to draw like Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, who was told to maybe add a little more McFarlane in his style. These are Brandon Peterson, Art Thibert, who followed Jim Lee, told to draw like Jim Lee. These were the standards of the time, and I've heard each and every one of these people talk to them. I would ask each and every one of them. I've heard them at panels say, "Well, that's when I was told to do this." Well, John Romita Sr., as famous and as accomplished as he is, was told to draw as much like Steve Ditko in the early goings in his first issues that he was doing Spider-Man in order to soothe the transition, which speaks to what we're talking about, the algorithm. When I got into comics, so when I first started collecting comics, it's kind of the same as when I broke into comics. The top guys in the business very quickly, and you've heard me mention their names many times, but they represent such a big time of the 70s and the 80s, is Frank Miller, is John Byrne, is Walt Simonson, is George Perez, is Jim Starlin. And so what I was getting constantly as a kid breaking in, really hardcore, 1974. And then one of my favorite periods is 75 through 80, and you have to go, well, why is that? And it's because of the consistency of the product that was coming out. And then you get into the mid-80s, and Marvel really shows you in regards to just how many monthly, kind of extended monthly runs they can put together. I'm talking about John Byrne on Fantasy Four and Walt Simonson on Thor. So I've got some numbers for you here, okay? And did I even bring my glasses? Yeah, I sure do. Okay, here we go. I've got some numbers as we formulate what I'm talking about with this algorithm. So when I come, we're no longer getting the hundreds of Jack Kirby anymore. But from 1979 to 1983, Frank Miller wrote, drew, illustrated 30 issues of Daredevil. So that's a 3-year run, okay? That's a 3-year run. Walt Simonson, from 1983 to like 1986 gave us 43 issues of Thor that either wrote Drew or wrote Andrew. In the 70s, when I was just getting acclimated with comics and finding my favorites, George Perez, I've talked to this often, George was bouncing between a lot of different books. It happened to be all their flagships, but George gave us 24 Fantastic Four issues from 1975 to 1978. He gave us a ton of great storylines, whether it was one of my favorite Frightful Four stories, a great Salem 7 Impossible Man. He contributed to some great Galactus stories with the High Evolutionary. George was 24 issues of the Fantastic Four. He was also, in the same time period, from 1975 to 1980, he gave us 25 issues of the Avengers. John Byrne, when he gets on the Fantastic Four, this isn't even counting the stuff that he did in the 70s. John Byrne did 64 issues of Fantastic Four. He was there every month. Did I also mention that he did 20 plus issues of Alpha Flight concurrently? The X-Men, which I always talk about, is born on John Byrne coming on the book in issue 108 and staying to 141 with maybe one or two crossovers. I mean, he did a tremendous amount, 30 plus issues that locked in our algorithm. I began to expect from Marvel Comics, just like, Perez on the Avengers, Byrne on the Avengers, Byrne on the X-Men, this dependability, this reliability. I knew that, and I understood that Sal Buscema was going to come in and maybe give me a fill-in or two, and then I'd be back to 4 issues of John Byrne, 4 issues of George Perez. When Walt Simonson took over Thor, the guy that he looked to for fill-ins was Sal Buscema. And Sal Buscema, younger brother of John Buscema, the great John Buscema, had immense strengths and terrific storyteller, dynamic figure artist, and very fast, and was contributing to what we would understand. I understood fill-ins. They didn't threaten me. The Korvac saga is largely associated with George Perez, but he didn't do the last several issues. He launched it, he got it in motion, but he wasn't around to finish it off. I have had people who, while I was disappointed that an artist named Dave Wenzel and Sal Buscema also they combined to finish out the run. It didn't make me like the run any less. George did the covers, contributed. Towards the end, he just was no longer doing the interiors, but it got rocket fuel. It got engagement. It took off because George was there, issue after issue after issue after issue, kind of keeping it churning. Now, Sal Buscema come in and contribute a fill-in along the way, but then we were back. We were back 171, 172. George was there, continuing. It was about a 12 or 13 issue saga, and he was there for most of it. I know people are like, I can't stand it. It ruined it for me. People my age who I've talked to and engaged with online and in person, it ruined it for me that he didn't finish it. I understand that. I accept that completely. 100. I get it. If I had that, absolute desire to see George finish it in the same capacity that they did, I'd feel the same way. But I was already so into it that I didn't mind that he didn't stick around to finish it. But we just got used to extended runs by really great talents, and by virtue, those really great talents became superstars. They became giant names. They became giant, reliable pillars of the comic book industry. And when I saw their names on anything, I'd be, boom, I'm into it. The Daredevil run, the transformational run, the Frank Miller stuff, it'd be even higher than 30 if the book wasn't bi-monthly when he started. Both he and John Byrne, I've mentioned it often, it bears repeating each and every time. Those books were bi-monthly and on the cancellation bubble. But these gentlemen, their incredible creative instincts and drive lifted them from bi-monthly to monthly. And suddenly you got so much more. But, John Byrne coming on issue 108 and then issue 109, I think immediately issue 110 was a fill-in issue, but then we were off to the races. And it is the consistency from the 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, the episodes that I did a Rob Topsy on, the entire international travel where the X-Men were in Antarctica, and then were in the Savage Land, and then they went to Japan, then they went to Canada. All these extended storylines across the globe is what made me fall in love with X-Men and elevated them above the Avengers back in that day. And I speak for the same. Now you're really dwelling on these bronze guys. So I'm going to pivot to the 90s guys. If I asked you how many issues of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, and Spider-Man that Todd McFarlane drew, what would you tell me? Would you tell me 43? Because he did 43 issues. He drew 43 issues of Spider-Man. Todd McFarlane did. That's why your bond with him and Spider-Man is so great. I don't know that Todd did more than, I'm gonna say Todd did 12, 14 issues of Spawn before he gave the artistic chores over. But the bond that you have with Spider-Man is so much greater because he did so many more issues. 43 issues times 20 times 22. That's a lot more page count. Jim Lee did 26 issues of between X-Men and Uncanny X-Men and X-Men, and all of these I'm combining them. And I've talked about in the Art Adams episode when Art Adams was really coming out, and they released the work that he'd been doing on Longshot since 1983. They compiled it. They were finally done, and they released that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus the 2 X-Men and New Mutants annuals that were double sized that provided the Asgardian War saga. It gave you basically 11 issues worth of Art Adams material over the course of 1 year. I did an entire podcast dedicated to kind of breaking this down and why this mattered and why this was such a big deal, because it's not something that he has repeated since. I think Art has done 5, 6 issues in a row, maybe in the last 30 years. But this 1985, which was, they were holding back this work, and then they brought it together, and you got Longshot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right around 5, you got New Mutants annual. Then you got 6, then you got X-Men annual, and Longshot 6 is double sized. New Mutants special edition is almost triple sized, like close to 60 pages, and the X-Men annual is 40. So in those 3 issues, you're almost getting 6.5 issues. 6.5 plus 5, you're at 11. Easy. Rob Liefeld, the host of this show, did 24 straight issues of not straight, but from 1990 to 1992, 24 issues between New Mutants and X-Force, and you got 3 months off. We wrapped up New Mutants 100 in March. You had X-Force number 1 in June. But I had a couple fill-ins. But when I come on board, and I'm not counting the New Mutants annual. If I do that, then that's 2 more issues worth of work, and also New Mutants 100 double-sized, X-Force number 1 double-sized. That's 26 issues worth of work. Jim Lee at 26 issues. I think one of those is double-sized, 2 of those. So he's probably at 28 issues of the X-Men. Because Jim, by the time April, when Youngblood number 1 came out, Jim was still on the X-Men. Jim was on the X-Men he was still drawing the X-Men when Youngblood 3 came out. Jim felt like he needed to give the fans more of himself. I think looking back, it was a very wise move. He wanted to reward those fans, and if he had just left so fast, I did 10 issues of X-Force, and I bounced to do Youngblood. And then if you count what happened then from 1992 to 1994, you get another 10 issues of Youngblood. So from 1990 to 1994, you get 34 Rob Liefeld comics that are fairly regularly being produced. With Jim Lee, let's say you're getting, again, 34. You're getting from 1990 to 1994, 34, 35 Jim Lee comic books. Todd McFarlane, you add the 12 issues of Spawn onto that 43. I mean, you're looking at, he's kissing, he's kissing 60 issues worth of work. And that's where the bonds are formed. That's the algorithm. You were like, I can rely on these guys. They're going to be around. I can interact with them. I can interface with them. That algo has ceased. It has stopped. It has been broken. I'm not going to go back and pinpoint exactly when, but in the early 2000s, Marvel definitely shifted away from glorifying the artist. I used to doubt this. I used to give them the benefit of the doubt, but now I've heard and talked to enough people who were there at the time to say, no, Rob, it was definite. It was definitely by design. One of the algorithm shifts that was created was this reliance on a regular annual event like a House of M, a Civil War, a World War Hulk, a Avengers versus X-Men, Siege. I'm leaving out some, but it was just a routine, a regular boom, boom, boom. This is what they would manage everything around, and some of their best talents, whether it was Olivier Coipel or Steve McNiven, would be. I mean, Olivier did three of them. He did Siege, he did Avengers versus X alongside Adam Kubert, and House of M. So Coipel was mostly utilized outside of when he was doing Thor. He was mostly utilized, and he was such a pretty dynamic, attractive, popular commercial artist. I mean, I understand why they would want to have him draw that. That's who I would want to see doing my stuff. Oh man, look at that orange screen. I am super orange right now. It's like I'm the Hulk. I'm getting madder. Sorry, I'm for those of you who are listening, the reflection on the large screen TV is giving me the best lighting that I can get for this. Given that we have a video capacity on Spotify and on YouTube, and my face just went almost completely red because the screen went really dark orange. It's pretty funny. So the algorithms and the regular issues. Let's just deal with where we are in the here and now. I got my X-Men: Age of Revolution. I was really excited to check it out. I checked it out, and on the last page, it told me about the 18 new number ones that are coming starting this month in October, running through the end of the year. Each of them are 3 issues long. All 18 are 3 issues long. I propose to you that this is a representation of what they want to be the new Algo, which is not any different than I saw Charles Soule announcing that one of the Venom books that he was working on was ending with issue 10. Some recent X-Men launches were canceled at 5 issues out the gate that were announced as regular issues were immediately then downgraded to a limited series, and they were out. And the entire focus of at least Marvel's game plan of late is short, brief series that completely get rebooted. I believe for the last 5 Deadpool launches, that series lasts about a year. And once you're done kind of maybe investigating it and see if you want it, and clearly the audience continues to not be there for them, not in the way that they need it to be, not when they can replace that with a new number one, it's pulled. I know that I think they did King Deadpool. That was one of them, and Chris Pacello was doing it. I really enjoyed it, but it did not last long. It was gone fairly quickly. I think he did the opening, the opening section and gone. Last year they announced Deadpool Wolverine, Adam Kubert. I had no idea it was 3 issues and gone. I did not know that it was 3 issues and gone, but it was. The latest Wolverine series launched. It had, whatever that creative team, and then it was gone, and it's been replaced by this new offering that's going to run 3 issues. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 times 18 times 18. That is a giant section of comic books that are being offered to you. That if that is a successful model, they'll just keep doing it again and again and again, and you may see 4 times a year new launches of 3 issues each, with very little longevity. Even with Spider-Man, if I go back in the last few years, I go, okay, there's the Ryan Ottley Spider-Man run. Then they got the John Romita Jr. run where he was doing mostly breakdowns, which is kind of a step above layouts, kind of storyboard artist, and Scott Hanna doing much of the heavy lifting. And the people at Marvel will tell you that, especially if you see the layout quality of the breakdowns. Now you've got, I think Ed McGuinness was doing a Spider-Man book, and then Pepe Larraz was launched. It's shorter, smaller, contained series with no longevity in mind, with no real kind of no 43 issue runs, no 30 issue runs. I tried to get them to give me more issues of everything I did. I want 8 issues of Batter Blood. No, you only get 6 to tell your story. I want 6 issues of Deadpool Team Up. No, you only get 5. So I've been there. I've done that. I've understood. One of the reasons when they offered me twice in 2022 and then in 2024, they asked me to come and do a new cable series. I just said, no, I don't want to. I didn't understand exactly how it would fit into the greater new relaunch, and already that relaunch is being relaunched. Okay, this is an algorithm, people. This is a forced upon a habit, a training of you as the reader. This is what I propose to you that is happening, so that you do not demand anything other than these brief, bite-sized pieces. And you go around and you watch the news, anywhere, any state, any city. They'll tell you that the bags of chips The bags are the same size, but the quantity of the chips are less. The bag of cookies, the bag is the same size, but the cookies are less. Everything is less, less, less. You're being, sold, a diminished product over time, that the quantity inside is less. I believe that this is something that Marvel Comics has been introducing, and it is a combination of the lack of talent available to them. And so let's go back to what I said 20 minutes ago. Ivan Rice, Brian Hitch, Gary Frank, Dave Finch, top draw, best guys in the business, Ryan Otley, all producing work for Image Comics, not Marvel Comics, not DC Comics. That's 5 less names to do 20 pages a month. So there's 100 less pages that you're going to get out of 5 different artists for either of the publishers. And you can just keep going on and on and on down the list. I contributed the last several years. I contributed at least each and every year 100 to 120 pages to Marvel Comics, and that's not there anymore. So you just keep subtracting. No 100 pages minimum Brian Hitch, no 100 pages minimum Gary Frank, no 100 pages Ivan Rice, no 100 pages David Finch, no 100 pages Rob Liefeld. And so the scramble is on to keep replacing these artists with new voices. But I don't believe they're being managed in the best possible way. And I do believe that in some of the instances that I've seen recently, something that I'm going to tell you right now, I broke in on short stories. I did a short story for Dark Horse. I did 2 short stories for DC Comics, and I was supposed to do a short story for Marvel. But between all those short stories, at the end of the day, I'm at 60 pages. That's 3 monthly issues, but they weren't, I didn't have to carry them. They were inserts. They were co-stories of a flagship book, of which I was always the secondary title. But I was able to cut my teeth, get better at drawing people, places, faces, figures, all of it. And a lot of times now I see, when I say that, so this speaks to bad management. What am I talking about when I say bad management? Bad management is that the artists are being thrown onto full length feature issues of comic books that bear the name Avengers or X-Men. And I see these guys, and I've been there. They need more work. They need to be regulated to short stories to get the kinks out, so that everything kind of is of a better quality. Remember, people, and I know some of you, I do love mentioning it to you, and I'm gonna go Taylor Swift on you. You guys help. Thank you for listening. Some of you guys who go crazy in the comments, I really do appreciate you. Thank you for listening. I've been doing this for a very long time. This is my living. This is what I have raised my family on, is making comic books, and I have had all manner of success across all manner of publishers' platforms. So when I talk about development and how to tweak, I've run a studio, and that studio produced about a dozen great inkers, a dozen great pencilers, more than a dozen great colorists. And in both Eric Stevenson and Matt Hawkins, the 2 kind of key editors that I had, one is the top dog at Top Cow, and one is the top dog in terms of, when I say top dog, not above Mark Silvestri, but who runs the company, Matt Hawkins. Eric Stevenson runs all of Image Comics as well as being a partner. I know of what I speak. I have been around the block. I have the experience. So this isn't just some. I want more better comics. There's my phrase. I want more better comics. So one way to more better comics is to giving some of these guys short stories with which to cut their teeth, and not putting them out there to dry and hang them prematurely on books that they're just not equipped to do. So the new algo of comics is limited, bite-sized stories, maybe 10 issues pop, but the same guys don't come back. Chris Pacello, when he did King Deadpool, that was it. He didn't come back and do Deadpool. That was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. He hasn't been back since. Was it Scotty Young and Nick Klein? Maybe. I know it was Scotty who did another of the Deadpool relaunches, and there was either 1 or 2 since the Deadpool, the King Deadpool. So I mean, they go 8, 9, 10, they're gone. That's an algorithm. That's the publisher telling you, this is what we want you to get used to. This is what you're going to see more of. And if you continue to buy it and support it, that is exactly what you're going to get. 18 issues, 3 months each, is either a cash grab or a Band-Aid or both. But it is not algorithm. It is not representative of the kind of stuff that this industry was built on, that turned us on, that got us deeply involved and invested in these characters and these labels. We've talked about the bags and the gimmicks that are now the delivery options for the content, and that's fine. That you have to go where the marketing goes. If getting you to pick up a comic means it comes in a bag, if getting you to pick up a comic means it has to come with a foil cover, that's fine. That is part of the collectible aspects of, as I've said, that is going on in the in the trading card world. And speaking to the biggest artist, probably the most well-known, biggest celebrity on the face of the planet the last several years. And if you have a daughter and you took her to a Taylor Swift concert, you know what I'm talking about. She packs out the Rose Bowl. She packs out SoFi Stadium for a record number of dates that no one else can even dream of matching. So I'm talking about no one else other than Taylor Swift. She has obviously released this new album. She is looking to make big, giant sales. And the reason I'm bringing her up is, in case you haven't noticed, in case you haven't been paying any attention to what's going on, and that's fine. It's certainly not anyone's priority, but she has, I think at this time, at least there's 12 different variant editions. My kids are even like, "Hey, Dad, have you seen what Taylor Swift's doing with her albums? It's like comic books. It's like variants." I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of dig it. My natural bend is to go, this is pretty interesting, pretty cool." She's clearly, people always ask me, why did Youngblood number 2 have a flip cover? I couldn't decide which cover I wanted, so I put cover on both. On Youngblood number 2, I couldn't decide if I liked the green version or the kind of purple version of the cover, so I ran both. It was my prerogative. I liked both. I think she had a bunch of great pictures taken of herself in all different personas and all different poses and looks and lighting, and I think she's like, I like all these. I want all these, and she can. She's one of the most successful recording artists of all time, so she's put all these. She's put these versions of herself out, and people seem to be really enjoying them. And at San Diego Comic-Con the last couple of years, on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we have different, like a Thursday variant of Evangeline, or a Thursday variant of Youngblood, and a Friday variant, a Saturday variant, a Sunday variant. And we've done it online as well. And I've seen since the album launched that there's 24-hour variants. Get this within 24 hours. It's a brand new version of the vinyl. Look, my sister, who is many years older than me, forgive me, Sherry, but it was just funny. She dropped by the house and visited us before we left for New York City, and she said, if I had known that there was going to be this many album covers, I would have picked some different ones other than the early ones. No one's forcing anybody at knife point and gunpoint to buy whatever. Taylor Swift is putting these out there as these as a delivery. It's the way she's delivering her content is in different variants. And maybe you saw, maybe your news crews, there was news crews in Southern California. I'm sure they were here in New York City and everywhere else. When Target at midnight was releasing the Target variant of Taylor Swift. So these delivery systems for our content are meeting the moment. They're what the people like, the collectors like. We like more than one thing. We like more than one option. And so whether it's comic books or whether it's albums, we're seeing this collectability aspect that we continue to talk about. We're going to continue to talk about it because it's happening. You guys are the audience, and the as long as people keep grabbing these, I would love to see the numbers on these 24-hour variants. I think I've seen 2, perhaps 3 of Taylor Swift's 24-hour variants. And I just laugh because, like I said, this is the kind of stuff that we do at conventions. A Thursday and a Friday variant are essentially a 24-hour variant. And so this is the way that this stuff is being delivered now. That speaks to another algo, an algorithm of collectability. And I'll repeat it again. In the 90s, we were pushing, hoisting our silver foil, die cut, glow in the dark, polybagged versions on you. Now you're asking, what does it come with a bag? Does it have an additive like a trading card? All of these things are part of the expectations now. Retailers want them, fans want them. So the script has definitely flipped, but it's created yet another side algorithm, aside from the fact that we're not getting long extended runs anymore. Now Marvel is giving us bite-sized pieces, morsels, which I would expect. And you go back and you look and you see that this was many years in the making. These shorter, briefer runs. It's not just Deadpool. It's Captain America. It's Wolverine. It's Daredevil. Constant brief relaunches. Spider-Man, as we discussed. No one is above this constant, launch, reboot, launch, reboot, launch, reboot. And it's just something that's out there. It's on the plate. I'm very fortunate. Youngblood in April, the 6th issue flips to 100, and we're going to be on legacy numbers. There's giant-size Youngbloods that have already debuted this last summer, July of 2025, to coincide with the 50th anniversary of giant-size X-Men. Had those at the shows, had those online, very limited edition, but that's a giant-size series of Youngbloods. That'll be out in the spring of 2026. But the idea is that anytime we bring our books back, we'll continue with our legacy numbering. We did it with Prophet. We've done it with Bloodstrike. Now we're doing it with Youngblood. Youngblood is the longest, most celebrated of all the Extreme titles. So it just speaks to a different algorithm. These brief, bite-sized morsels, 18 comics, 3 issues each. It's an experiment. It's a test. What happened with Uncanny X-Men in the summer 2024, and then they immediately kind of downshifted to go to this new relaunch, which is basically kind of a distraction that will then provide cover for yet another relaunch. And unless there's talent that insists, look, I need to go 10 issues without a break. I need 6 break, then 6, because I want to build that bond. I believe those bonds can still be built. I believe those opportunities are still out there. But right now, that's not the way the largest publisher, is running things. So it's always worth a discussion. I'm so glad we had it. I wanted to put it out there, some food for thought, something to consider, something to kind of, think on in regards to how everything's changed. The generation before me had 100 issues of Jack Kirby. And of course, yes, I know that Ultimate Spider-Man, those guys outdid that run retelling Spider-Man stories. I get it, because Ultimate Spider-Man really started out as a retelling of the Stan and Steve Ditko stories and the John Romita Sr. stories. I'm aware that happened. That's about 10 or 12 years ago at that point that happened. I would love for Nick Dragotta to do 30 issues, Batman, Absolute Batman with Scott Snyder. That movie, that book entertains me to no end. And yes, there are some people you're going to be able to go, but there's an outlier here and an outlier. That's all they are. They're outliers. They are not the predominant algo. The publishers are telling you, this is what we want to give you. This is how we want to give it to you. This is where we see our publishing schedule going. It's up to you how that's going to work out. You can switch away, you can click off, you can pivot away from it, or you can just continue to go back to the same trough, or down to the same body of water that they lead you to and partake. That's your choice, but that's what I wanted to put out there. The new Algo, it's out there. It's not the same. It's not what I was raised on. It's not what me and my peers participated in. Like you said, when you add the immediacy of Todd and Rob and Jim and what we did right after Marvel, and then immediately pivoting towards Image, that's where you get that 4-year run. It's where the bonds are the strongest, where they are the forged the deepest with the consumer. Hey, I always love talking with you guys. Thank you for hanging with me, and all that we kind of enjoy doing here on the show. I wanted to broadcast to you from New York. When it's done, when I get home, I'm going to have great episodes with tons. It's going to be 4 crazy days. Like I said, everybody's here. I'm going to see a giant portion of everybody that's here. And I can't wait to share the excitement and the news and whatever's going on in the world of comic books, because this is what this weekend's about in New York City, wrapping it up, celebrating this week in comic books. I'm going to tell you first and foremost, you should be on my live stream, Whatnot. Get the app, download it, Rob Liefeld, follow me. You'll be alerted to when I'm going live, and I'll be going live during the New York Comic Con show, probably on the Thursday of the show, whatever that is, that October 9th. And we'll have a show. We'll have exclusives from the show and some Youngblood comics that you have not seen or were not aware of. But we have really kept a tight lid on them, and you'll be getting a crack at them. Very, very limited capacity. But Whatnot's a great collectible app. Comics, toys, cards. I'm in the comic book section. Rob Liefeld. Download the app. Follow me. You'll be alerted when I go live, which we're going to do here from New York City, and do a fun live stream with you guys. The live streams are essential because I'm not going to be in Wyoming. I'm not going to be in Hawaii. I'm not going to be in Texas, Florida, Boston. Not going to be in Chicago. I'm way too busy. I'm cranking out this work, and I have to stay at the board, so I don't travel as much anymore. But the fact that we have a 5-star rating, top rating, sometimes we're given weeks on end, less than 1 day shipping. Our account is in great hands. You guys are the determining factor. If we didn't deliver a great product on time, we wouldn't have those great reviews that we do on Whatnot. So Whatnot is a way that I can meet you. I can get books to you in Korea, in Canada, in Australia, London, Scotland, all of the different territories, as well as the greater, United States. I can get books to you in Detroit, in Indiana, in Nevada, in Seattle. So check me out on Whatnot. Give me a follow, and you'll be alerted as I go live, as I'm going to be doing a lot as we count down and get to the big Youngblood launch in the first week of November. Hey, when I'm not here on the podcast hanging with you guys, I am on X at Robert Liefeld, all over social media at X, Robert Liefeld, ROBERTLIEFELD. I have a blue check that signifies it really is me reading your comments, your mentions, your DMs, talking back and forth with you. I love to just keep it chill and fun and share with you comics, movies, books, shows that I dig, and hear what you're digging. So at Robert Liefeld is my handle over on X. Over on Instagram, at Rob Liefeld. My buddy Scotty has been really doing great work creating new content, filming stuff with me. Whenever I do that content that you're seeing on Instagram that you're having these great reactions to, it's blind. I don't rehearse it. I'm not given a list ahead of time. It's so funny. It just pops an image, a reel, a question to me that I'm not prepared for, and I give you a real-time kind of reaction, thought, kind of a breakdown of it. Thank you for all the enthusiasm that you've been giving us. The Instagram account is really fun. I love seeing and again reading your comments, your mentions, reading your DMs, liking the comments that you leave, and just talking to you guys on Instagram. At Rob Liefeld is my handle. At Rob Liefeld, another blue check signifies that I am truly the real deal, who is reading your comments and interacting with you. Check me out at Rob Liefeld on Instagram. I look forward to seeing you over there. We have we have a TikTok account, TikTok, Rob Liefeld. We finally raised that from the dead and gave it life, and it is surging as we speak. Really excited to have you guys join us over on TikTok. Again, it's Rob Liefeld. That is truly me, leaving the comment, cultivating it, and sharing it with you alongside my guy Scotty, who is helping me improve my social media standing. So thank you so much for checking me out. Rob Liefeld on TikTok, Rob Liefeld on Instagram, Robert Liefeld on X. Already did the Whatnot. We have a Facebook group, Rob Liefeld, Marvel Extreme and Beyond on Facebook. It's a group. Rob Liefeld, Marvel Extreme and Beyond. We would love to have you join us. Each and every episode of this show is given a dedicated post so that you can discuss, debate, talk about the content of the episode and where each and every subject lands with you. We have great artistic talent. We're going to be doing a book based on some of the talent that is shared there. Just really exciting place. No trolls. It's my living room. I ask you to just not put your feet up on the furniture and don't put your cigarettes out on my carpet. We just have great energy, enthusiasm for comics. No trolls allowed. No flame wars. Going back to that 25-year-old kind of dated but very appropriate term, flame wars, right? So we would love to participate with you on all these other different platforms when we are not on the podcast. Thank you so much for your support of the podcast, the great word of mouth, the great enthusiasm that you've given it. We're going to continue on a few more weeks here into the year before we take our extended end of the year break, but it's going to be fun. A lot of crazy stuff coming at all of us, and excited to share it with you. As always, I'm a husband. I'm a parent. I'm somebody's brother. I'm just like the rest of you. We are all dealing with different burdens, different obstacles that are put in our life each and every time. The holidays are coming. The pressure is mounting, you guys. I feel you. And just as I told somebody in my family who was particularly stressed out recently, I just said, hey, take a break, step back. You got to listen to your body. You got to kind of refresh, go out with your friends, have a great meal. Everything that I share with you guys here on the regular. Go see that streaming show. Spend time with your friends. Go to the diner. Go to the coffee shop. Reconnect with loved ones. You guys, you just got to keep above the fray, because the grind will get you down, man. And we got to, don't let that treadmill determine your happiness and your direction take control, get the rest that you need, and we'll be rooting for you right here. 2 fist bumps. You can't see the mic. Boom. I'm giving it to you. I won't. You won't catch me out there. I won't be out there. That I would fall to my death. That's way too high. So I won't be here. But we're gonna hang again, and you are gonna catch me, and we're gonna connect again because we will most absolutely, most definitely, and inevitably, most inevitably, we're gonna talk again real soon.